Hi everybody, I'm so happy to be on today. My name, if you don't know me, is Elizabeth Maley. I am an integrated language arts major here at Malone, which means that I hope to go into high school English education when I complete my degree, and I'm in my second year as of right now. As far as things that I'm involved in at Malone, I'm on Malone Serves, which not only provides me with scholarship money, but also gives me opportunities to go out and serve the community, places like Refuge of Hope, Hammer and Nails, and a variety of other charitable organizations of my choice. I am also involved in our monthly book club at the Cattell Library, where we bring in books and we discuss them as readers do. And outside Malone, my involvement is primarily in church. I'm a part of an organization that my church has called Hyphen, which is kind of that age between being a youth, being, a teenager, and being a young adult. And it fills those needs and provides fellowship. So sometimes we do things with the youth group, and sometimes we also go and do things by ourselves. I'm also a Sunday school teacher at my church, Apostolic Lighthouse Tabernacle, and am involved in other miscellaneous jobs there, and I try to volunteer and serve my community through my church. My role as a media consumer is like a lot of people's my age. I have various forms of social media. I have Instagram, Facebook, but my personal favorite is Pinterest. I love scrolling different ideas, and though I'll probably only use like a quarter of them, I really enjoy looking at different home interiors and recipes and DIYs and things of that nature. I also really enjoy commentary YouTubers like Danny Gonzalez and a few others. A lot of my media consumption comes from my time on YouTube. And of course, probably most importantly to me, I am a book reader. I will read pretty much any and every genre, but I really enjoy fiction. I really like a good novel. As for my role as a media producer, I think the most obvious answer is that I write for the Free Press Standard, a local paper in my town. So I write about a lot of community events, human interest stories, things like that. And then another one that I've kind of strayed away from, but was very important to me at one point in time, not too long ago, was my podcast. It was called The Dreamer Podcast, and I talked about the Christian faith, and I used my social media page as kind of a form of evangelism. And then, of course, I post to my personal Facebook and Instagram pages quite frequently. I would say my role as a media citizen is a little bit limited. I'm sure like a lot of people, and I'm still figuring out exactly what being a media citizen looks like in practice, but some examples I can think of are the time I delivered a speech on internet safety to my 4-H club. I was able to research some red flags and things to look out for while we engage with online content and while we engage with other people over the internet. And then I would say another component of this is the discussion forums that I've used for my various college classes, even in high school. And all of the discussion forums, they encourage thoughtful conversation, but I would say especially my CCP political science class, where we talked about really important things and were able to disagree in a very civil way. I remember one of the topics we discussed was freedom of speech and what it extends to and what are the limitations of freedom of speech, if any. And we talked about it specifically in the context of vanity license plates was one of our assigned discussion posts that week. And it triggered some really thoughtful information. I have to look off screen to read this part. But as far as my expectations for the course, I'm really interested in the learning outcome that says cultivate a critical lens to understand and critique cultural values, ethical implications, and societal influences within the mass media industry, emphasizing the Christian tradition's influence on media consumption and production. So particularly ethical implications are really important today, especially as we're considering decreased attention spans, especially in young children that are practically living in this online environment. And also, I think a conversation about using data as currency and making more clear terms of condition are also pertinent issues today. And then as for societal influences, I'm interested in the concept of echo chambers and how, like our reading talked about, people and their opinions differ so greatly nowadays because they can kind of just go to their favorite news sources or the ones they most agree with and hear their own opinions repeated again, rather than kind of trying to look at it from a more neutral perspective, which encouraged greater unity in years past. My chosen media text is The Space Trilogy by C.S. Lewis, and the way I understand its contribution to media is that it promotes Christian morality and a Christian worldview in a creative art format without being preachy, but it presents it creatively and thoughtfully, and it is a very philosophical series that encourages deep understanding of the faith. So unfortunately, I did not have the book on hand, but this is what my edition looked like. So we had, the first book was Out of the Silent Planet, and then the second was Perelandra, and then the third was That Hideous Strength. So the book one, it follows a guy named Professor Ransom, who is taken to Mars, the planet, against his will, where he later meets 3 Martian races and goes on a journey full of spiritual allegory. Book 2, Ransom is transported to the planet Perelandra, also known as Venus, where he confronts the man who actually kidnapped him and took him to Mars in the first book. This man's name is Weston. Weston proceeds to be a threat to this planet's race as he tries to ruin the paradise nature of the planet by convincing the queen to break God's commandment, and it in many ways mirrors the creation story. And then the third book is about a young woman named Jane Studdock who experiences prophetic dreams that eventually lead her to join forces with Ransom and several others to defeat an evil scientific agency. I would say that this piece of media text is valuable to me personally because I read it as part of the C.S. Lewis retreat that took place last weekend, and I was able to engage with other professors and students in some really great thought-provoking conversations. It's also valuable to me because it's an inspiration to what I hope to achieve in my dream of becoming a Christian fiction writer, and it gave me some things to draw from. And then also, I like that it touches on deep themes. It offers a lot of social commentary on marriage, even touching on imperialism and the misuse of science in our modern age. So, yeah.